A single dad named Harry is peacefully cooking in his kitchen when his neighbor Diana boldly enters and confesses her 6-month suppressed feelings. Wearing a striking yellow dress shirt with deep neckline and black shorts, her long blonde hair flowing, she corners him against the counter and demands he stop pretending there's nothing between them. After months of polite distance, Diana risks everything by telling Harry to stop cooking, stop smiling, and just kiss me before I lose my mind. Harry, who's been a single father for 3 years and buried his own feelings, finally breaks down his walls. What follows is an intense, emotional confrontation that transforms into a passionate moment of truth, vulnerability, and the beginning of something beautiful between two people who were too afraid to admit what they wanted. Before we continue, let us know where in the world you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories reach. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more emotional stories that will touch your heart. Drop a comment. Would you be brave enough to do what Diana did? Let's discuss. Back in dread, Harry stood at the kitchen counter, methodically chopping vegetables for dinner. The afternoon sun filtered through the window, casting golden light across the marble countertop. His gray shirt sleeves were rolled up to his elbows, revealing strong forearms that moved with practiced precision. Being a single dad for 3 years had taught him many things, and cooking had become his meditation, his escape from the chaos of raising 2 kids alone. The sound of the front door opening barely registered in his mind. He was too focused on perfecting the julienne cuts, too lost in the rhythm of the knife against the cutting board. He had no idea his entire world was about to tilt on its axis. Diana stepped into the house, her long blonde hair cascading over her shoulders in waves that caught the light. She wore a yellow dress shirt with a deep neckline that she had paired with black shorts, an outfit she had spent far too long choosing that morning. Her heart hammered in her chest as she made her way toward the kitchen, following the sound of chopping. She had been Harry's neighbor for 6 months now. 6 months of casual waves across the fence. 6 months of polite small talk when their paths crossed. 6 months of her watching him from her window as he played with his kids in the backyard, his laugh carrying across the yard and settling somewhere deep in her chest. 6 months of denying what she felt every time she saw his smile. But today was different. Today, something inside her had snapped. Maybe it was the way he had helped her carry groceries last week, his hands brushing against hers. Maybe it was how he had fixed her leaking faucet without asking for anything in return, his gray shirt stretched across his shoulders as he worked. Or maybe it was simply that she could not spend one more day pretending. She did not feel this consuming need whenever he was near. Harry finally sensed her presence and turned around, his eyes widening in surprise. "Diana, I didn't hear you come in. Is everything okay?" She did not answer immediately. Instead, she moved closer, her eyes locked on his face. There was something different about her today, something intense and determined that made Harry's breath catch in his throat. "The kids?" she asked, her voice lower than usual. "At their grandmother's for the weekend," Harry replied, confused by the question and by the way Diana was looking at him. "Diana, what's going on?" She took another step forward, effectively blocking his path to the rest of the kitchen. Harry found himself backed against the counter, the knife still in his hand, vegetables forgotten. "I need to tell you something," Diana said, and there was a tremor in her voice that betrayed her nervousness despite her bold approach. "And I need you to just listen." Harry set the knife down carefully, his full attention now on the woman standing before him. Up close, he could see the slight flush in her cheeks, the way her chest rose and fell with each breath. He had always thought Diana was beautiful, but he had pushed those thoughts away. He was a single dad with responsibilities. He did not have time for complications. That is what he had told himself anyway. "I've been trying to ignore this," Diana continued, her blue eyes searching his face. "I've been trying to be the good neighbor, the friend, the person who doesn't cross lines. But I can't anymore, Harry. I can't watch you smile and not want to know what those lips taste like. I can't see you being this amazing father and not imagine what it would be like to be part of that. I can't keep pretending that every time you're near me, my entire body doesn't come alive." Harry's mouth went dry. He had not expected this. He had convinced himself that the attraction was one-sided, that Diana was just being kind, neighborly. The possibility that she felt even a fraction of what he felt had seemed impossible. "Diana, he started, but she held up her hand. "I'm not done," she said, moving even closer. They were inches apart now, and Harry could smell her perfume, something floral and intoxicating. "I know you're going to give me all the reasons why this is a bad idea. You're a single dad. You don't have time for relationships. Your kids come first. I know all of that, Harry, but here's what you don't know. I think about you constantly. When I wake up, when I go to sleep, when I'm supposed to be working. You're there in my head, in my heart, driving me absolutely insane. Her hand reached out and touched his chest, right over his heart. Harry could feel it pounding beneath her palm, betraying every emotion he had tried to keep locked away. "Stop cooking," Diana whispered, her face tilted up toward his. "Stop smiling that polite smile. Stop pretending you don't feel this too. Because I see it, Harry. I see the way you look at me when you think I'm not watching. I see how your hands clench when I'm near. I see you fighting this just as hard as I've been fighting it." Harry's hands had somehow found their way to her waist, though he could not remember moving them there. The yellow fabric of her dress shirt was soft beneath his fingers, and he could feel the warmth of her skin through the material. "You're right," he admitted, his voice rough. "I do feel it. God, Diana, I feel it every single day. But I'm scared. I'm scared of messing this up, of hurting you, of my kids getting attached, and then—" "Then what?" Diana challenged, her hands sliding up to his shoulders. "Then being happy. Then having someone who wants to be there, who wants to know your kids, who wants to wake up next to you and make breakfast while you do that thing you do where you hum while you cook." Despite everything, Harry smiled at that. "I didn't know you could hear that." "I can hear everything," Diana said, and now she was smiling too, that beautiful smile that had haunted his dreams. "The walls aren't that thick. I hear you singing with your kids. I hear the bedtime stories. I hear you laughing at terrible jokes. I hear your life, Harry, and I want to be part of it." The kitchen suddenly felt too warm. Harry's heart was racing so fast he thought it might burst. 3 years. 3 years of focusing solely on his children, of putting his own needs last, of convincing himself that he was fine alone. And now Diana was here, saying everything he had not let himself hope for. "What if I'm not good at this anymore?" Harry asked, vulnerability clear in his voice. "My ex-wife left because I worked too much, because I didn't pay enough attention. What if I let you down?" Diana's expression softened, and she cupped his face with both hands. "Harry, you spend every free moment with your kids. You cook homemade meals, you help your neighbors, you fix things without being asked. The problem wasn't that you didn't pay attention. The problem was that she didn't appreciate who you are. But I do. I see exactly who you are, and that's who I want." Something inside Harry broke loose at her words. All the walls he had carefully constructed, all the reasons he had given himself to keep his distance, crumbled like dust. His hands tightened on her waist, pulling her closer. "Diana," he breathed, and her name had never sounded like that before, full of longing and need and hope. "Yes," she was so close now that her lips nearly brushed his as she spoke. "If we do this," Harry said slowly, "I need you to know that my kids are my priority. They always will be." "I know," Diana said, "and that's exactly why I'm standing here. A man who loves his children the way you do, that's the kind of man I want. I'm not asking you to choose between me and them, Harry. I'm asking to be part of all of it. And if it doesn't work out?" Harry had to ask, even though every fiber of his being was screaming at him to stop talking and just kiss her. "Then we're adults and we handle it," Diana said simply. "But what if it does work out? What if this is exactly what all three of you need? What if I'm not a complication but the missing piece?" Harry studied her face, searching for any sign of doubt or hesitation. But all he saw was certainty, desire, and something deeper that made his chest tight. "I'm going to kiss you now," Harry said, his voice low and intense. "And when I do, there's no going back to just being neighbors." Diana's lips curved into a smile that made his stomach flip. "Good, because I'm done being just your neighbor. I'm done waving from across the fence. I'm done with small talk and polite distance. Kiss me, Harry. Kiss me before I lose my mind completely." The last bit of Harry's resistance evaporated. His hand came up to tangle in her long blonde hair, soft and silky between his fingers. Diana's breath hitched, her eyes fluttering closed in anticipation. "You trapped me in my own kitchen," Harry murmured, a smile playing at his lips. "I had to," Diana whispered back. "You kept hiding in here, being all perfect and domestic, making me fall more in love with you every single day." Love. She had said love. The word hung in the air between them, significant and terrifying and wonderful all at once. Harry pulled her even closer, eliminating the last inch of space between them. "Diana, yes, stop talking." And then his lips were on hers and the entire world disappeared. The kiss started gentle, almost tentative, as if they were both afraid of the intensity of what they were feeling. But gentle lasted only a moment before the floodgates opened. Diana made a small sound in the back of her throat and pressed closer, her arms wrapping around his neck. Harry's other hand joined the first in her hair, holding her like she was precious and essential, and everything he had been denying himself. The kiss deepened, becoming something urgent and hungry. 3 years of loneliness, 6 months of suppressed attraction, countless moments of denied desire, all of it poured into that kiss. Diana tasted like coffee and mint and possibility. Harry could not get enough. They broke apart only when breathing became absolutely necessary, both of them gasping, foreheads pressed together. "That was," Diana started, unable to finish the sentence. "Yeah," Harry agreed, his thumb tracing her bottom lip. "That was." Diana's hands were still on his shoulders and she could feel him trembling slightly. "Harry, I'm terrified," he admitted. "Absolutely terrified, but I'm also more alive than I've felt in years." "Good," Diana said, pressing a soft kiss to his jaw. "Being alive means feeling things, even scary things." Harry laughed, a real laugh that came from deep in his chest. "You just ambushed me in my kitchen and demanded I kiss you. I don't think you get to talk about scary." "Someone had to do something," Diana said, her fingers playing with the collar of his gray shirt. "We could have spent another 6 months dancing around this, and I just couldn't wait anymore." "What changed?" Harry asked, genuinely curious. "What made today the day?" Diana was quiet for a moment, and when she spoke, her voice was soft but firm. "I watched you playing with your kids yesterday. Your daughter fell and scraped her knee, and the way you held her, the way you kissed it better and made her laugh through the tears, something just clicked. I realized I didn't just want you, Harry. I wanted to be part of that kind of love, that kind of family. And I decided that life's too short to be afraid of going after what you want." Harry's eyes were suspiciously bright as he looked at her. "My kids mean everything to me." "I know," Diana said. "And that's exactly why I'm here." They kissed again, softer this time but no less meaningful. Harry's hands slid down to her waist, holding her securely against him. Diana melted into the embrace, into the feeling of finally being where she wanted to be. When they separated this time, Harry glanced at the forgotten vegetables on the counter and laughed. "I was making dinner." "I ruined your cooking," Diana said, not sounding sorry at all. "You did," Harry agreed, "but I'm not complaining." He tucked a strand of her blonde hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering on her cheek. "Stay for dinner. Let me cook for you properly. Let's talk about this, about us, about how we're going to do this." "I'd like that," Diana said, her smile radiant. "But Harry, yes, no more hiding, no more pretending we don't feel this. Promise me?" Harry looked at this beautiful, brave woman who had crashed into his carefully ordered life and turned everything upside down. She had risked rejection, had put herself out there completely, had demanded the truth from both of them. "I promise," he said, sealing it with another kiss. As Harry returned to cooking, Diana perched on the counter beside him, their knees touching, talking and laughing and occasionally stealing kisses. The kitchen filled with the aroma of food and the sound of their voices blending together naturally. This was just the beginning, they both knew. There would be complications ahead, conversations to have with his kids, adjustments to make. But as Diana watched Harry cook, his gray shirt now slightly wrinkled from her hands, as he smiled at her with genuine happiness in his eyes, she knew she had made the right choice. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit what you want and fight for it. And sometimes, when you're brave enough to trap someone in their kitchen and demand they stop hiding their feelings, you get exactly what you need. Harry caught her staring and raised an eyebrow. "What are you thinking about?" "How I almost let fear keep me from this," Diana admitted. Harry set down his spoon and turned to face her fully, taking both her hands in his. "I'm glad you were brave enough for both of us. I'm glad you didn't let me keep hiding." "Someone had to make the first move," Diana said, squeezing his hands, "and I got tired of waiting." "Well," Harry said with a grin, "your timing was perfect. Another month of repressing these feelings and I might have actually lost my mind." They both laughed, the sound filling the kitchen with joy and promise. Outside, the sun continued to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. But inside, in that kitchen where Diana had finally said what needed to be said, where Harry had finally allowed himself to want something for himself, a new chapter was beginning. And it started with a woman in a yellow dress shirt with a deep neckline and black shorts, with long blonde hair that smelled like summer, who was brave enough to say stop cooking, stop smiling, and just kiss me before I lose my mind. It started with a single dad in a gray shirt who finally learned that opening your heart again was not a betrayal of your past, but a gift to your future. It started in a kitchen, with vegetables forgotten and kisses stolen, with promises made and fears acknowledged. It started with truth and ended with possibility. And that, as they would both come to learn was exactly how the best love stories begin.